Welcome back. This afternoon, you're listening to the Todd Laborowitz Show, Real Estate Radio on Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. I am your host, Todd Laborowitz, and we're speaking with Denise Daffron, VP of Advancement with Jill's House. Before that, she was with American Heart Association of Greater Washington Region, also was with American Red Cross of the National Capital Region, and also before that was with the Special Olympics. We're so happy to have you here to represent Jill's House, and I want to commend you. My wife is a fundraiser as well.
Oh, she understands.
She understands.
She sure does.
You're a huge part of making a difference for these children.
Thank you.
And it's just, I know what you guys go through, so I want to commend you and acknowledge you that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also noticed there was a nice little recommendation for you. It says, Denise is a committed and talented professional. I always admire her upbeat attitude, strategic thinking, and creativity. She is an asset to any team and a pleasure to have as a colleague.
That is very kind. I need to say thanks to her for doing that. So
that's what happens when you
Google
you.
All
yeah.
Right.
And I was first introduced to Jill's House through Robbie and Shirley and Bradbury.
Oh, sure.
And we went to an amazing event, and ever since I learned about Jill's House, it just stole my heart. And one of the times I was flying out to San Diego for the radio show, and I get on the airplane, and I sit next to someone I went to high school with. I haven't seen them in 20 years. So I got a 3.5-hour plane ride out there, and she was telling me about how her child is on the spectrum for autism. And I told her about Jill's House, and she was literally in tears that an organization like this existed, because it's been a long time since her and her husband actually had a night just them two, and to have their child in a safe environment.
Right.
So I'm going to let you take it from here to explain Jill's House, to let our listeners, because I know you stole my heart.
Oh, we steal a lot of people's hearts. And you know what? We exist very much so for your friend and the families out there that are raising children with special needs. It is unbelievable what our organization does. We lovingly call ourselves a respite resort for children with special needs. But what that means is we provide temporary overnight care, a weekend, a weeknight, a days at Jill's House for children with intellectual disabilities ages 6 to 17. And about 50% of our children do have autism, and another 20% or so have Down syndrome and cerebral palsy and chromosomal disorders. It's not their fault. They didn't ask for this. Their parents didn't ask for this, but it exists. And a lot of our families are on the brink of divorce when they come and find us because they haven't had a date, a night out. Can you imagine being married or being in existence or having a family where you cannot go out just to go grocery shopping? That alone is a difficult situation for a lot of our families. So we give the families, a mom, a dad, the opportunity to step back and just breathe a little bit and spend time with each other, to renew their relationship with each other, to spend time with their other children. Many of our families have 2 and 3 other children that don't have special needs. So those families and those children can often feel ignored because the child with special needs takes so much time. So it really does breathe life into these families.
It breathes life into the families, but also the impact for the child that's attending. I remember the story about how the brothers and sisters get to go to Jimmy's house and Ben's house or Lindsay's house, but when the child gets to say, I'm going to Jill's house, it's like they just light up, and it's like they're going to their friend's house. Just the name alone is so proud.
Yeah, it's very proud, and it's actually named after Jill. Jill is a wonderful young lady who has severe special needs herself, and so she's the daughter of the senior pastor at McLean Bible Church, and it's through that experience that they felt the need to work with families. But you should see the children. They actually pack their bags 1-2 weeks before they're supposed to go for a weekend, and they are running into Jill's house, and their faces light up, and our children in wheelchairs are in a pool for the first time where they have freedom, and the gravity doesn't pull them down as their enemy, and they absolutely love Jill's house.
And the parents are very comfortable leaving them there because it's a safe environment with the right people.
It's a safe environment, and that's a big struggle for a lot of our families is being able to let their child go into someone else's care. But we have a full nursing staff, pediatrician on staff. We've been called a disguised hospital. In many ways we are, because of the complexity, the medical fragility of the children that we serve. We actually do a wonderful job at taking care of them. So the parents start seeing light at the end of the tunnel and saying, it's going to be okay. My child is safe.
And you're making a difference in the families.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Perfect. Saving marriages and keeping those families together, which is most important.
That's wonderful. Well, by the way, if you're just tuning in, I have with me Denise from Jill's House, and I am your host, Todd Laborowit, and you're listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. Well, how did you get involved with Jill's House?
Oh, and it's a wonderful story. I moved here in this area in 1999, and I started attending McLean Bible Church. And as I mentioned, the senior pastor there, it's their daughter, who is Jill, of Jill's House. And they started talking about this opportunity, this Jill's House kind of vision that they had, because they saw the need for a respite that these families needed. Just a break, just to sleep overnight is a significant issue with the families that we serve. And I fell in love with the idea when they started talking about this over 12 years ago. It's been a love of labor, or labor of love, I guess, to raise the money to build this 42,000 square foot facility that is built around children with special needs. And I personally supported it to get the campaign going, to get the building built. And then when we were expecting our own daughter, we learned early on that she had special needs herself. And so we were like, we'll be okay. We've got Jill's House. When she turns 6, she'll be able to go to Jill's House. And long story short, I can't believe I have the opportunity to work at a place that I just believe so much in. So it's been a real honor to be there.
Well, Denise, that's wonderful. Now, parents that have children that would like to get involved and to drop their kid off at Jill's House, how do they get involved? Like, what's the process? They
actually need to visit our website at jillshouse.org, and there's a section there that talks about for the families. And as long as the child has a diagnosis of an intellectual disability, and they're between the ages of 6 and 17, our intake team will actually walk them through the process in order to make sure that we can deliver the safe care that we need to for their child. And then it's just a process that they go through, but they'll be right there alongside them to take them through the process.
And is it affordable, or are there donations that are taking care of the cost?
Well, it's actually quite expensive to run a place like this, only because of the nature of the children that we serve. It's about $600 per night per child, the cost, but we have our families only pay as little as $3 an hour. So there's a significant gap, and that's taken up through private donations, individuals, hundreds and thousands of individuals that love and have embraced Jill's House. And so we are not publicly funded. We are just privately funded through companies, through foundations, and through individuals and events. We have some phenomenal events that we have as well.
Oh, I've been to the events, and it's wonderful because we actually help sponsor children so they can go.
Yeah.
And so getting into that, parents can get involved, but all these events that you throw in that are funding the children, how can tell us, our listeners, more about that so they can get involved?
We have a wonderful program. It's called Sponsor a Child for a Night, and it basically helps cover the direct care cost while the child was there in Jill's House. And so we have hundreds of sponsors that help us every single month to do that and allow us to have the funding we need for the children. We also have some fundraising events. We have a gala that's coming up on May 30th. Martina McBride is our featured entertainer. It's at the Ritz-Carlton at Tyson's. You can visit our jillshouse.org/celebration and learn all about that. We even have a motorcycle ride. We really have everything for everybody.
Hey, tell me about the motorcycle ride. Where do you go?
We start off in Prince William. We have the McLean Bible Church has a campus out there, and they go through a 100-mile journey through Northern Virginia, beautiful countryside, Middleburg, that whole area in Loudoun County, and they end up at Jill's House, and we have a barbecue. We have tours of Jill's House. They meet some of the families that we serve. It's just a blast, and to hear that rumble going of those motorcycles when they start is really exciting. They're about 200 motorcycles. It's on June 7th. It's coming up.
Perfect. And what is the future of Jill's House? Is this something you're taking national? A lot of people, this is a lot of need.
Yeah, the need is significant. And there's so many stories that I could share. But, I mean, some families are taking around their their cancer. They're scheduling their time for their kids while going through chemotherapy, and just all kinds of different stories I could share. But we are expanding across the nation. We now have 6 programs around the nation in Los Angeles and Colorado Springs and Austin. We have 2 additional programs here in the Washington, D.C. area, and the need is so significant that we just can't create programs fast enough.
I mean, could there be federal funding for some? I mean, the need's there.
The need is there, and I'm not sure. I guess there would be.
Well, I'm just wondering, they can do $800 million for a piece of artwork, but I'd rather money go towards this.
Yeah.
And I don't get to explain where the money goes. But.
Yeah. No, we have a lot of committed private funders and individuals that just love and embrace. And, if the right opportunity comes up, we wouldn't say no, that's for certain. But it's certainly, we are open to any way we can get funding at this point. So
I wish we could get our priorities right with the money and put it more towards it.
I agree.
But I went to the dance. Yeah. Explain to our listeners about the dance, because it's one of my favorite things. They raised money for the pool.
Yeah.
1 year, and the year before there was a bus so the kids could get into.
Yep. Right. We, Charlene and Robbie, who you just mentioned, actually were one of the founders that started the dance, and they it's been going on for 12 years now. And this past year we did raise over $50,000. Their goal was 40. They raised over $53,000, and the money's still coming in. But it's a wonderful event with a big band, Radio King Orchestra, and all that in someone's home. So,
well, Denise, thank you so much for being here. And next Saturday at 1 p.m., we will be talking with Jackie and Scott with Shepherd's Table. Shepherd's Table is a nonprofit organization in downtown Silver Spring. Their mission is to provide help to people who are homeless and in need. I also want to thank our producer, Craig Gilner. We appreciate all the hard work you put into our show each and every week. Tune into the Todd Laborowitz Show next Saturday, May 24th at 1 p.m. right here on Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. You need the inside scoop.
You don't go through life with a paralyzing fear every time you have a financial transaction. So why is applying for a mortgage so scary? At Topaz Mortgage with Todd Laborowitz, it is about educating and empowering you to get from point A to point B. Todd provides you with his exact closing cost, best interest rate, then invites you to shop around. Plus, if you call with questions, Todd picks up with the answers. Learn more at whytopaz.com. They are industry experts that care. Topaz Mortgage, NMLS 131548, licensed by the Virginia State Corporation Commission, MC 5344, Washington, D.C., MLB 131548, Maryland 18330, Todd Laborowitz, NMLS 131497.